Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 8 of the PJ and Clay Experience. Once again, we are back. And once again, we are late. But don't you worry, we have a very special episode ready for you. Let's get it going right now. My good friend PJ at 17POOJ. Hit me with a timestamp, my friend.
Episode 8, May 15th, 2021. It's Saturday today. We just enjoyed our first playoff game of the year, Washington versus Boston. Caps came out on top. We'll explain why we like that.
That's called a teaser.
And went into overtime. So that's fantastic. What's going on in the world today, or our worlds? There's a AstraZeneca shortage. That's only concerning me because those that have it, just because where are we going to get our second shots? Hopefully there's another delivery at some point. Hopefully Skip has that delivery ready for us.
Skip's got it on the way.
And so it's just interesting, the reasoning of a couple different provinces in our fair country. Ontario is saying they're not giving AstraZeneca out because it's unsafe and because of the blood clotting issues and things like that. And Alberta just says, well, we're not getting any more. So they didn't really go into that it's not safe or not. So just interesting that there'd be two different reasons to not give the second shot or the first shot or whatever that looks like of the shot that you and I got.
Well, and it's kind of funny as you say that, because once we put our notes together, 4 other provinces jumped on board. So Alberta says there's not enough vaccines to go around. Ontario says it's too dangerous. That's why we're cutting it. Then Nova Scotia comes out and says, we're the same as Ontario, it's too dangerous. Then Quebec comes out and says, no, we're the same as Alberta. We just don't have enough. And then BC's like, don't worry about it. Get your second shot here. Who knows?
Well, we'll see what goes on. I have no signs to back up any of it except to say, get your shots.
Get your shots.
Breaking news here. I wanted to timestamp this because everyone that's ever played me knows I don't know, probably the best crib player in the world. And so, but rare as rare has it, I got a 28 in crib the other day. And the funny thing is, because I was playing Hoffy and she's sure to pipe up about it, I was just happy not to get skunked in the game, actually, because I was barely hanging on and I was behind the whole game. Got past the skunk line. I was really happy. And then Hoffy went out, so I didn't even get to count my 28.
Oh, so you got to show the 28. So really, did the 28 even happen if you couldn't count it?
I don't know what the exact rules are.
I don't believe it happened.
Well, it's on the podcast, so it did.
Oh, that's right, because this podcast is truth beyond anything else you'll ever hear, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so that's a bit of the timestamp. That's what's going on in our lives a little bit. Thought it'd be worth our time to give some shout outs, because if we get the shout outs at the end, and if you're not listening, then these people don't get recognized, and recognition's a huge thing, right?
Because we also understand that there's a bunch of you that listen that love the first half and don't necessarily like the sporting half of our podcast, which is fully okay, which is why we're doing 2 hours and which is why we're not going to cut the show down. PJ, take it away to the shout outs.
I was talking to my friend Patrick, aka Patricia, and Patty was just chatting with me. I thought of him. I came across a great country song. I don't listen to a lot of country. I don't know a lot of singers in country, but sometimes I step into the vehicle, station's on. Anyone know International Harvester by Craig Morgan? Great song, and I'm sure Patrick knows it and sings it every day. So
I think that you two are probably the only people that have actually listened to that song ever.
I don't even know if he has. I heard it and I'm in love with it. International Harvester by Craig Morgan. Shane Smith also dropped us a line. Good to hear from him. He's actually an early inductee to my Lifetime Hall of Fame. Great gentleman. Very rare to be inducted to the PJ Hall of Fame this early. But fantastic. And then Seefer.
Seefer.
Great man, Seefer. He told me actually in some feedback that when we talk at the same time, we're not as clear. We're a little bit muffled.
So why don't you shut the hell up and let me talk?
Well, I was
once in a
about to
while?
say, and I'm sure the fans will pipe up that you should stop interrupting me. So that's where we're at with that.
Amazing. Awesome, you guys. And thank you very much for everybody's feedback. We are getting a lot more people out there listening, a lot more feedback coming back, and we are just enamored. We're happy. We're excited. We're jacked because we're going to keep this going as long as we can, because basically for PJ and I, this is just a lot of fun. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do the quick rundown on what's going through the podcast today. We're going to be starting off with the Hood 40 something, and that's where we talk about how old we are and how we deal with parenting and being adults in our 40s. Then we're going to jump right into the hospitality gene. The hospitality gene is something that we like to discuss in the service industry. We like to take our little hints and tips and little features that are going on in the service industry nowadays, and if it can help you out with any of your businesses out there. Then we're going to talk about the code. And of course, you all know this is where we talk about sports, mainly hockey, because that's our gig and that's what we do. PJ, let's roll right into the Hood 40 something. Give me your health tip of the week, please.
As usual, Clay, I'm going to have to interrupt you real quick here and just go through the reckoning.
Why do I always do that? I just want to bypass the reckoning because I hate getting flamed.
You're not even torched in this reckoning. It's mostly me because that's what the feedback I'm getting is just, hey, you were wrong on this. Why would you say this? You're not right.
We have some great listeners out there.
Yeah, for sure. Calling me out every chance they get. It's fantastic. So anyway, last time on the reckoning, I went through the teams, or I said that there were 8 teams that had 1,000-point scorers, and Kopitar being the last person that passed that. And that's as a new country, Slovakia, that's the 8th country that is added. So that was fantastic. Canada, I think I said 55. Canada actually has 63 1,000-point scores. Followed by United States, 10, Russia and Sweden have 5 each. Slovakia has 3, Czechoslovakia and Finland have 2, and Slovenia has 1.
Slovenia. Who's a Slovenian?
I don't know. Great question.
Doesn't show up on your research, eh?
No. I sure hope that...
So this is where we're going to fill space while PJ desperately types away and tries to figure out who the Slovenian that scored 1,000 points in the NHL.
That's actually on Kopitar.
There it is. Add it to the reckoning.
Why can't I get this off the reckoning list? Damn it. All right, fine. Kopitar's Slovenian. And
that is absolute money.
That was added. God have mercy. All right. Anyway, so that's fantastic. Canada has 63 1,000. Incredible. From the feedback that we're getting, more people really enjoy the 100-point mark that Conor has reached. And so me bad-mouthing the 100-point mark as a very arbitrary number in 53 games, not a record setter at all, doesn't matter. Just because he hit those 3 digits, that's more important.
Listen, stop trying to put meat into your fight, because
101, who cares? 102, 103, hate it. 104, dislike it. 105, who's Connor McDavid, right?
Hey, can we celebrate 105 because he finished the season with 105 points? Can we at least celebrate that then?
I celebrate him every day.
Well, true.
And then the biggest piece of this is I stated that a while back, I think probably 8 games ago or 9 games ago, that Connor would not reach 100. And I just I have here, I type in my notes here, I totally botched that.
Well, Connor went full Wayne Gretzky and basically lit up the league, and we're going to talk about how he did that in the code. So,
but all the Oiler fans be happy, because I also predicted that the Oilers would not win the Stanley Cup. So here we come.
Let's go 0 for 2, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to botch that one big time too.
You and millions of other fans.
Then just the only thing that I had for you, Clay, is that I don't know. I don't know if you still know the difference between a no-hitter and a perfect game.
A perfect game. Here's the deal. Okay, before you even start, the perfect game is no errors, no issues, no walks, no hits, no runners on base.
Mm-hmm.
So the no-hitter is what he got. He did not get the perfect game, but he went a full game, 27 up, 27 down, no-hitter, which is damn close to a perfect game.
No, because he pitched past a passed ball that got a guy on base,
which is why it's not a perfect game.
But so he had to face 28 people, not 27.
Oh, see, that's why PJ's smarter than I am, folks.
So anyway, you just didn't know what you were talking about there, although it was a great point. All right, let's move on.
Let's do this now, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to the hood, 40-something, and PJ's health tip of the week.
All right. Well, the health tip of the week this week is just simply, what are you doing to get healthier, and are you trying to pile on to yourself and make it impossible? So we always talk about measurable goals. We always talk about realistic goals. But, whenever I'm starting a diet, and hey, believe me, I fall off more diets than I get on, kind of thing. So I understand the struggle, but so my main things that I always try to focus on are portion control. Because I like to load up the old plate like I'm at a buffet. When I cook for 12. We have 3 people in this house, kind of thing. So that's one of the things.
One of them is an infant, a quarter of your size.
Yeah, well, we need 12 portions.
Yeah, you do.
And so that's one. And then the other one is eating after 9:30 p.m. Right, just trying not to do that. And so before I start, hey, I'm going to go keto, I start with some different things before I try to knock off carbs forever, or I try to intermittent fast, or whatever the new fad is in dieting. So the health tip of the week is just, you don't have to go extreme, right? You don't have to wrap yourself in saran wrap and hop into a sauna every day to lighten the load. So just want to make sure that everyone is doing that. And that's it. It's really basic. That's the health tip of the week, is just try to not be extreme. Try not to hop onto too many fads, and just simply do something simple and one at a time. And hopefully those habits accumulate into a healthier lifestyle.
And I think you're totally right, especially too much of a good thing is not good for you. Too much of something can be bad for you, in a sense that portioning is so important on so many different levels. And if you're going to over portion something, over portion on vegetables and fruit and water.
Yeah, I wore it as a pride, a banner of pride, that I was in the Big Eaters Club, and now now apparently that's not great. So fine, I gotta lose that trophy.
Just put it in the basement somewhere, right next to your new podcast area when you finally build it.
Shut up, Clay.
All right, here we go. Good stuff. So, and well, PJ, we're going right back to you, because health tip of the week, this is going to bring you into another health concept. This happened to me when I turned 40. I decided the 40 was the magic number that I needed to go and see the doctor about this. PJ, tell me about your experience.
Well, my doctor's really good looking, and he's a guy I enjoy. He's got a good accent. He's great. But anyway, 46 years old. So 40 years old, I went in and I said, do I need you to check my prostate? And he said, you know what? If you aren't having any problems, 40 isn't the magic number. We don't need to check it unless you really want me to check it. And I said, no, thank you. It's fine.
So basically the doctor that I saw was like, yeah, no problem. I'll check your prostate. Okay, we got two totally different doctors.
And so so this good looking doctor of mine checked it, everything's fine. But we joke around a little bit about this, but obviously a very serious subject. I've had friends that have been affected greatly by this. In fact, one of my close friends. And so, and he has a family, and he's young. Like, I think he was younger than 40 when this all went down, and they found something bad, and everything turned out all right. And it's fantastic. And yay.
Yay.
But yeah, so the hood's about being 40 something. And so I think that it's important that we're okay talking about this stuff, and I don't want to go into great detail. But I don't want to be too flippant about it either, right? It's an important piece, and everything's a-okay, which is nice. But even if it wasn't, it'd be nice to know and get some help on that, right?
100%. And I think that leads into another thing we're going to be talking about in the future, especially when it comes to Movember, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, little things like that, how to check your testicles to make sure. We're going to start going into more of those fatherhood, men over 40 type subjects, because it's extremely important where we are right now. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. You touch your nuts every single day. Just check them and make sure that they're okay.
Maybe you do. I don't.
Oh, yeah. Lies. All lies. Put it on the reckoning. All right. Good stuff.
Great. Well, another important thing. Let's move on. What do you got?
I love moving on. So talking about health, talking about the shots coming up here. Alberta just dropped the age limit to 12 years and older. So I booked my oldest in to get her shot done, which is extremely important, especially since she does work in the service industry and she's in front of a lot of people at all times. So happy that she'll be getting her shot here right away. And then at the next stage, we'll get the youngest get her shot. And then the whole family's been taken care of. Just waiting for our second shots on whatever shot that may be. So she's really excited to get it done, just because she also, like everybody else, starts to see the light at the end of the tunnel when those shots come, because it's one of those things when you get that shot, you're almost just like, oh my gosh, I've now stepped foot into another realm. Before I was behind everything, no vaccinations, doom and gloom. Now I've got my first shot. I'm stepping into stage 2. The actual stage 2, not the bullshit stage 2 that the government has been showing us. But this is a step in the right direction, and we're finally getting closer to the new normal, whatever that may entail. So she's excited, I'm excited, and that happens early next week.
Well, it's interesting because when you talk about this pandemic, and you talk about that age group that Jade's in, high school to, first, second, third year university, those are the people that have been really impacted by this. I mean, obviously we can feel we've been impacted, and we have been impacted greatly about this, but as far as the impressionable age group that this has really affected negatively in a lot of ways, is Jade's age group, right? And
absolutely. So, you think about these high school kids, right? They're still developing. They're still trying to grow into who they are as personalities, as human beings. Their brains are still developing, and they're not having any of the social contact that normal years would have had, the ones that we had in high school, that last year had in high school, that decades ago. So their development has definitely been hindered, and they're craving that interaction with their friends, with people out there, whether they're in sporting groups, sporting events, hockey players, volleyball players, it doesn't matter. This age group has been drastically affected by this 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm just really, it's funny too, because when you think of that age group, when I think of myself in that age group, I didn't feel like I had a voice, nor did I have anything important to talk about at that point. The kids nowadays that are coming up, 16, 17 to 22 they're smart, and they are powerful, and they have lobbies, and they have, they're just really, if Jade's pushing to get a shot, that's important to a lot of those kids. And it's funny because I don't remember ever feeling that way back in that day.
100%. But you know what? These kids have grown up with technology in their hand. They've grown up with platforms. They've grown up with Twitter, with Snapchat, with Instagram. They've grown up with cameras in their face, being able to vlog their whole lives. They've already have the platform. So if like you look at us back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, when we were in high school, what the hell did we have? We showed up at hockey practice. We showed up at school. We went and played in the park. And that's it, right? Where these kids, they do all that. Plus they've got Twitch channels. Plus they have thousands and thousands of followers. Good friend of ours that hopefully we'll have on the show here soon enough. His daughter is getting a scholarship down to NCAA. His daughter is 18 years old, 17 years old. She's got more followers than I have ever seen for a 17-year-old on Instagram. It blows my mind how they've already attached onto this whole branding thing. So you want to talk about somebody who has a platform? These guys have more strength than we ever did. But you're right. They are smarter too. And they're more embracing of change. And especially when you talk about the LGBT community, what they have to do and grow up with and what they're accepting, it's amazing. They are way smarter now than we were back then.
Amen. I keep
Good.
on catching a glimpse of myself on our recording, and I don't know when we're going to have our YouTube channel out or anything like that, but I got a new hat from Clay with a bit of our logo or his logo, and it's in Oiler colors, and it looks good.
These came in just in time for playoffs. I picked them up on Friday. I produced 3 of them. There's only 3 made. So sadly, as of right now, all of our millions and millions of followers cannot get one of these hats yet. But we will be producing them because that is going to be our designated color going forward. It's going to be the royal blue with a hint of orange. And then we're going to have a few other colors once the website gets made. But this is going to start going up on YouTube in the next week here. So this is the first episode that will go up on Sunday night.
Well, and just for everyone, Clay sometimes loses his way, but if you put pressure on him, maybe he'll produce some of these hats for you. So reach out to him, put some pressure on him.
The right arm right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the rubber arm. Okay. This is the one that you twist to get whatever you want. Clay, let's do shots. No, not today. Oh no, there's the rubber arm. Okay. Clay, I want a hat. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're getting a hat. If you want a hat, DM me. We'll get you a hat. Okay. Talking about technology and the kids, I just wanted to bring up something really quick. It's a funny little story about, I find myself as being very a techie. I'm not a genius by any means, but I know how to run most computer stuff. I know how to build stuff. I know how to work social media. I know how to deal with all of the Apple products. Knowing the technology side has been a blessing and a curse in a way that anytime my ex-wife needs something, when it comes to her phone or her watch or anything else that has to do with technology, and our daughter is not around, I'm getting that text to try and figure that out. And I just found it funny because it happened the other day, how it is such a blessing and a curse. Jordan, my youngest, is in online schooling right now, and somehow the camera broke on their laptop. So who gets the text? We need this fixed because she's got online schooling tomorrow morning. Good. So I rush over to Best Buy. I buy a webcam, bring it back to the house. Okay, talk to my oldest, set it up, make sure it happens. And of course, she waits right up until 3 minutes before her class starts to try and set it up. Dad, it's not working. I'm like, I gave it to you last night. Why is it not working this morning? Anyway, I buy the webcam and then they tell me that she's got a Chromebook. And if you don't know, Chromebooks are the less expensive laptops that a lot of kids are using for schooling nowadays. And they're don't have quite the powerful capacity that a lot of the main laptops have. So not any webcam will work. It actually has to be a specific Chrome operating system webcam. So off to the store Clay goes. Searching through all the webcams. Can I get a Chrome specific webcam? So I got that. And now you try and be a tech head and helping somebody out over the phone via text or via FaceTime. And you want to know how my daughter FaceTimes? She puts me on FaceTime and then she takes her phone and puts it down on the ground and it shoots straight up in the air. So we get to FaceTime, but I get to look at the roof the whole time. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, either show me the screen or show me your face. I don't want to look at the roof. This is silly.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I have a bit of a tech piece on my job. And so, but it's funny because people will call me and it's the same thing. I'm trying to work through this with them on the phone. And it's like, I have to get into class in 30 seconds. So what do I do? And I'm like, well, take the fork and the gum wrapper and
is it on?
have you power cycled that? By the way, I just thank you for giving me your gravestone, what I want on your gravestone. Not to be morbid or anything like that.
Why do I feel like we've already had this conversation about somebody else? Was this your gravestone? Is this something that I heard on TV the other day?
Oh, you just said it. I'm not a genius by any means.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's. I think you nailed that about 20 years ago when we first met. This isn't new, PJ. You know this about me.
Well, you just said it out loud, and I just was like, "Oh my gosh!"
And now there's a recording, and now there's a YouTube video of it. Amazing, great job, Clay. Well done. All right, guys, we're going to move right into the hospitality, Gene. Now, we are going to be talking about the new shutdown that has happened. We are 1 week into the newest Alberta shutdown. Our government has decided that we need another 3-week shutdown of all sports, of all restaurants, no more patio, no more dine-in, only takeout. And if you are outside with any of your friends, that capacity is now 5 people, not 10 people. And obviously capacities in stores has dropped to 10%. And I believe churches have also dropped their capacity as well. So going through this other shutdown, just one quick thing I wanted to let people know, and I know I've mentioned this on my other podcast, that's an obvious voice with Captain Obvious. Check that out. It's a great podcast.
It is.
So when you go to order from restaurants, whether it is one of the big box restaurants or whether it's a mom and pop restaurant, try and go pick up your order. Phone them directly, get the order, and go and pick it up. If you're using Skip or DoorDash or Uber Eats, the percentage that they take from the restaurants is upwards towards 20%. Now, if you know the restaurant industry, you know there's not a lot of markup in the food. And so a lot of these different companies taking the 20% is literally them selling food at cost. And it's more difficult to keep the lights on. It's more difficult to keep these restaurants open. We're in the final stages. Let's just do what we can for all of the restaurants around, whether it's a local mom and pop shop or whether it's a big box store. And just so you're aware, it's okay to visit one of the big restaurant chains, because guess what? Your servers and your bartenders and your kitchen staff, they're local. Okay. They also need money. They also buy your products and they also rent your houses. So it doesn't matter what restaurants out there, support everybody, but try and pick up your food.
So, Clay, I think you and I discussed it a little while ago, but I had mentioned to you, I was like, weren't they like taking like 35%? And you said that there was some legislature passed or something that happened that they're not taking that much, but 20% sounds extreme too. But what was that about the legislature?
They changed the legislature. It was after the first shutdown. So when March hit, all of these big delivery places were gouging people, right? So they were barely scraping by. And now in BC, they made it mandatory that it is down to 12%. Okay. But here in Alberta, as I just moved here, I find out that that is not part of the Alberta legislation. So right now, Uber Eats is charging 18%. Skip the dishes, depending on your buying power with them, because a lot of the bigger places will be able to negotiate a smaller percentage, right? Because you're going to have a big name on your Skip the Dishes app. You want that. So you're going to get a lower percentage. But if you're a solo mom and pop store, they're going to gouge you for the max rate because you have no buying power with them. So,
right. So
it's tough all the way around. It's a battle, but like I said, we're coming out of it soon. Hopefully with everybody getting their vaccinations, we'll be able to open up these restaurants and patios, and you can go and sit down and enjoy your plate of nachos and your beer with friends that aren't in your household.
Right.
Okay, Peach, we're going to go right on here into the service and hospitality a little bit deeper. Everywhere that's shut down right now, I want you to make sure what you're doing during these next 3 weeks here in Alberta, make sure they count. Because a lot of your clients and a lot of your guests and a lot of your customers out there once this lockdown finishes and everybody's going free willy, buying anything they can, you want to make sure that your name is on top of their mind. So if you've got to send notes out, if you've got to send newsletters out, if you've got to send emails or phone calls, it doesn't hurt to get a contact for one of your guests and just phone them and say, hey, how's it going? Do you need anything this weekend? Can I send you some food kits? If you've got good regulars, good guests, they're going to respect that. They're going to remember you. But you want to make sure that when everybody goes out, full Monty, they're coming out to your place, and your place is the first on their mind.
Yeah. So what I think about when I hear that, Clay, is, because I'm in a business that's currently shut down, but currently open as far as management, as far as knowing that we're going to be hopefully off the chains when everything's back open. It's just an industry. I'm in the fitness industry. And so that's going to be an industry that's going to be run over with leads and
Big
with
time
business, and hopefully lots of industries are like that, and lots of industries will be, but certainly with fitness being closed down for most of the months, like 10 out of the 14 months, people are craving that. And plus there's less now. Market share you're going to have a bit more market share if you can grab any market share.
Absolutely.
Because a bunch of big box gyms are closing down. A bunch of places have sadly had to shut down. And so that's the way it is. So anyway, what's the plan? And so when you talk about being top of mind, or the first name that kind of pops up when people are thinking about restaurants, fitness, any industry at all that you're talking about, please don't have an out of office email response right now. Please respond 100%. To people. Please call people when they need a response. Please be timely with your responses. You need to be present in your business in some kind of capacity, or else you're going to fall by the wayside, and you're going to fall off their radar. And in fact, you're going to tick some people off that are expecting some responses. And that's not a good place to be to start off.
Classic example. And that's such a good thing to state right now, because I actually was shopping for a windshield for my car. The car is finally going to Jade. She's getting her license here within the next couple of weeks. So she's getting the car, but I need to replace the windshield because I'm not going to be that dad. So I phone a couple of places, get my quotes. Everything's great. And then after I get off the phone with one of the companies, I got a text right away from them. Hey, this is Frank from blah, blah, blah windshield. I've got it saved here. Just wanted to thank you for reaching out. Really appreciate the opportunity. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you right now. So I phoned 4 places. One of them texted me back right after, just saying thank you. It's that easy. It's so easy with technology nowadays to reach out to clientele, to guests, to regulars, to anybody. If you've got their cell phone number, fire them a text. If you've got their email, send out an email. If they're phoning for any reason, like PJ said, if you have your email or your messages to away, then you're not going to be open very long.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So that it's something that irks me, that really kind of gets on my nerves when I get an out of office response, or if one of my studios has one on.
You light them up pretty good.
Yeah, well, it's not the way to do business. There's lots of people to support, or you gotta get in there and do that. The volume isn't that high for a lot of these businesses, right? So we should be getting back to everyone ASAP.
That's right. What else are you going to be doing?
The other piece is we're going to be opening 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You might want to build out that plan. And how are you going to be able to handle extreme volume that you may never have seen before? How are you going to market? How are you going, there are a bunch of things. You guys know, you all are part of a business, whatever position you are in a business, whether it's owner to the operations, what is your plan? And specifically, like working on role playing, like, hey, you're going to get 10 leads in 10 minutes. How are you going to handle that? What are you going to do? How are you going to prioritize? How are we going to deliver the great customer service that everyone's expecting? So I just think that if you're not planning for that opening in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're not able to hit that button, go, okay, it's go time, showtime. Oh, we've got 25% of our staff returning. So we have to hire 75% of our staff as new. Well, what's your training process? What's your onboarding? What's your recruitment? There's just a bunch of things that need to be planned. And for you to go as a business owner or in the operations going, wow, we've always handled it before. We're going to handle it. No one's been through the pandemic. Stop it.
It's all brand new.
All brand new.
PJ, it's almost like you're reading my mind or my notes, because that's one hell of a segue. Because right now I want to talk about the people in your business, and I want to talk about the people that you employ, and I want to talk about how you keep them, how you retain them, and how you keep them involved. This is so important because jobs are a dime a dozen right now. Anywhere you want to go, you can go and try and find a job. I just talked to two of my employees that I used to work with in Kelowna, and they've got 3 job opportunities and they're picking which best one they want. Well, guess what? When we come out of this pandemic, we are going to get run over. If you don't think that's going to happen, then you're crazy, because when it comes in the next month and people finally are able to get out and they're fully vaccinated and they've got this money to spend, and all of a sudden now they're banging the doors down to go to fitness centers, to go to restaurants, to go to your hardware store. It doesn't matter what it is. When you got so many jobs out there, the good people are hard to find. When you have good people, you need to retain them. You need to keep them, and you need to make sure that they know that they're worthy and they're worth it and they're appreciated. Do whatever you can in the next 3 weeks to make damn sure the good people that you have on staff are not looking across the fence at greener grass. Okay. So just do whatever you can. You keep in contact with your employees. Don't leave them stagnant for the next 3 weeks. Phone them. Send them little packages. Drop off something at their door. Do anything you can to make sure that you've got your good people coming back to you in 3 weeks and ready to kick ass for you because they love the business they work for.
And to educate yourself on that, right? I mean, those questions are twofold: to actually see how people are doing, right? But also to go, oh, you're not planning to come back, right? I think that sometimes we get a little bit of the old cliche paralysis by analysis, right? And we analyze it and we go, okay, this is the plan. And if they tell me this, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to find out. And
I did that a lot with my ex-wife. I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear what she has to say, so I'm not going to ask.
I bet she liked that.
Oh yeah, we had good times. Good times. But you're right there, PJ. Just saying that too. You need to have a conversation, because even during these 3 weeks, the mental health of your employees is super important. And you need to make sure it is actually your duty as an employer, as a manager, as somebody that's running the show, to make sure the mental health of your employees is up to standards. And if somebody is not doing well, or if somebody is hurting, or somebody's affected too much, you've got to step in and do something. And whether it's a longer conversation, or whether it's, hey, let's go for a walk, or let's go shoot some golf, or let's go do something, whatever you can to help that person with their mental health struggles, it's extremely important in this time.
Well, I do know that some of the managers that I talk to, including myself, go, okay, well, I'm not a psychotherapist. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So what you're saying there is spend time. That's the most important thing. But also, you have to do a little research. Hey, this website works. Like, obviously, it's easier for me. Well, not obviously, but it's easier for me because we have this wonderful HR department, right? Yep. That goes, hey, here's our resources. This is where they need to contact. This is what we're sending out to them. All that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that I've researched this stuff, but I do know that that support is out there and those resources are out there, and some of them are covered by benefits. Some of them, a lot of them are free. And so,
you're right. Doing your research is exactly what you need to do. Know the numbers, know suicidal hotlines, know the different programs the government's offer, know the programs that your own business and your own healthcare coverage offers, because there are certain things. No, we're not psychiatrists. We don't know all the answers. And even for a guy that has dealt with mental health so much in my past and does a podcast on it, I don't know the answers. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. There's a chuckle. But anyway, I know what I've been through. I know what helped me. I know what a bunch of other people have been through, and I know what have helped them. The biggest thing is letting them know that somebody's there. If you leave your partners, your employees alone for 3 weeks and not contact them, that's no good in anybody's eyes. Making sure that they're doing okay, that's step one. I don't care if you don't know anything about psychology, just check in with your people. Show that you give a shit. That's all I'm saying.
Last thing I'm going to say about this, because I'm not a psychotherapist, but is that a lot of the tools that I'm seeing that our HR department has put out there are not necessarily mental health tools, as they are identifying if you need to go further into that. So it's just going, hey, we're going to ask you some questions online or whatever that looks like to help you realize if you do or don't need help, right? If you do, because I think a lot more people than not are going, yeah, it's been tough, but I'm okay. And that's probably not true. And so I think that a lot of the tools that I've been most interested in is because I'm part of that generation anyway, is, hey, I'm fine. I mean, yep. I get it. It's tough. It's stressful, but I'm fine.
I love that word. My mom, anytime that I text fine to my mom, she phones me instantly. She hates that. If you want a trigger word, type fine to my mom. She will lose her shit, and she will listen to this, and she's going to laugh at that because she knows.
Bless you, Wilma. Bless you, Wilma.
Oh, Wilma, you're a good woman. You're right on so many things with that, PJ. And I think that when people are depressed and know their depression, they know they have mental health problems, they are already that deep, right? If this is something that's brand new to you and you don't know what these issues are, and this is a whole different conversation that we're definitely going to be having, especially when we go into the mental health month and November. But if you don't know these issues or what these feelings are, when someone tries to talk to you, try not to block it. Right now, I'm talking on the other person's side. If you're an employee sitting at home and you've got some mental health, depression type symptoms, open up. If someone's phoning you, they're phoning you for a reason, because they give a shit. So just open up. That's all. Okay. Good. PJ, guess what we're doing now?
Yeah, let's get into the fun part of hospitality.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Clay's history of the Caesar. So we have done the history of so many drinks in the past, and we're going to continue. I find a new drink. I find a new alcohol. I find a new liquor. I find a new wine. Today, we're doing the Caesar. Home roots here in Alberta. Spoiler alert. I'll get to that when I get into that part of the story. So the Caesar, also known as the Bloody Caesar, it is the direct cousin of the Bloody Mary. The reason why it was called the Caesar will come later on in my story. It typically contains vodka, Caesar mix, which is tomato juice and clamato broth or clam broth, hot sauce, Worcestershire, and a lime, served in a glass, celery salt with a celery, and garnished with a lime. Good. So We know all that. Anybody that's had a Caesar, if you're listening in Alberta, you know, BC, you know, Saskatchewan, you know, Western Canada, you know, anybody else in the world that's listening to our podcast, because we have millions and millions of followers. The Caesar was actually originated in a way back in 1952 in a Manhattan nightclub. Now, this guy was selling Smirnoff vodka.
I was 18 years old at this time.
You are old as fuck. Or as the new kids like to say, old AF.
Oh, boy.
There you go. So the drink was basically introduced as the Smirnoff Smiler. They used Smirnoff vodka, and the guy that owned the Manhattan nightclub was using a tomato juice with a Clamato infused broth. Then in 1953, later on that year, the drink was seasoned with a dash of Worcestershire. And this was a columnist that changed the drink. In 1959, if you guys remember the Addams Family cartoon, made it into a movie years later. Well, the man that first started writing that cartoon actually seasoned it with, he states that he named it the Gravel Gertie. And he says that he was the first man to put Tabasco in it, but didn't put Worcestershire in it. So now you've got people battling over what this drink is.
Is it Worcestershire?
I think it's Worcestershire. Worcestershire.
Isn't it just Worcester?
It could be Worcester. It depends on where you're from.
Not from the Shire.
Frodo, you stop. Okay, going on. In 1962, Carl Lamarca, bar manager at Baker Hotel in Dallas, invented the Imperial Clam Digger. And they added basil and a dash of lime to the existing Smirnoff Smiler. And they called it the Clam Digger.
Basil and what, sorry?
Basil and lime to the actual drink. So not a lime wedge, they're adding lime juice.
I like that.
Okay. 1968, Seagram's president. So now we're getting into the actual liquor companies. The Seagram's president, and he's a Mott's Clamato marketer, claimed to have invented this seasoned tomato clam vodka cocktail, the Clam Digger, early in 1968. And then they actually trademarked the name, the Clam Digger, in 1968, which is extremely interesting because now Mott's is now involved. And as we know, Clamato comes from Mott's. They ran a major advertising promotion back then called the Clam Digger cocktail recipe in all their national magazines. Flopped. 1969, the Caesar was invented. The Calgary Inn, which is now known as the West Inn Hotel in Calgary, Walter Schell. He devised this cocktail after being asked or tasked to create a signature drink for the actual hotel itself. The Calgary Inn had an Italian restaurant attached to the hotel itself. So there was the Italian background, and Walter Schell was Italian in his own heritage. So he took vodka, he took the tomato juice, he took the clam broth, put it all together, added the Worcestershire, added other spices and Tabasco, and then he created the spicy flavor that was uniquely known as the Caesar. It says here, quote, he recalled that in Venice, they served spaghetti al vogole. It was spaghetti with tomato sauce and clams.
Aren't you Italian?
Yeah, nobody learns Italian nowadays. Seriously. Yeah. Unless you're going to Italy, you don't learn it.
Ridiculous.
Dude, I'm on day 400 of Spanish, and I can't figure that out. I want to go to Mexico, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Can I get back to my story, please?
Sure.
Put that in the reckoning that I know nothing about Italian. So the Worcestershire sauce, creating the drink similar to the Bloody Mary, blah, blah, blah. You lost me here. Okay, good. So anyway, so Schell says he had an old Englishman. He was a regular at his bar. So they tried for 6 weeks making this drink special. So trying new ingredients, trying new specialties. And then The regular said to him, Walter, that's a damn good bloody Caesar. And the Caesar was made. Long story short, that is how your Caesar is made. And now I'm going to go into a quick reference here just to show you how popular it is. In Western Canada, this is where it was developed and made, Calgary, Alberta. And so everybody in Alberta knows what a Caesar is. In the United States, your border cities will have Clamato juice. But PJ, as you know, if we go to Vegas, you have to go to a certain spot in Vegas to find Clamato juice. Do you remember where that is? We spent a whole 3 days there and didn't leave the complex.
Well, the MGM
Sportsbook is the only place to find Clamato juice in that whole hotel. There may be others in Vegas, but they have special Clamato just for their Canadian visitors, which is amazing.
Did you say that we spent 3 days in Vegas and didn't leave one complex?
That is another story for another time. Good times, good times. So anyway, 70% of Mott's Clamato sales in Canada are made to mixed Caesars. Half of the Clamato sales in Canada are to Western Canada. And you know, we don't have a whole lot of population out here in Western Canada, but we buy most of the Clamato from Mott's.
Now, my experience with the Caesar is long and storied, but I would like to say that the traveling of the Caesar's popularity, I think, although stunted from Western Canada, I went to school in Wisconsin and played hockey in Wisconsin. I don't know if the schooling even counts, but
that's definitely a story for another time.
but we had Caesars because we would play Friday and Saturday nights. So you'd practice all week, then you travel Friday and Saturday, or play at home Friday, Saturday. Sunday morning was all yours, and we would all go to Frankie's Tavern, and we would go
because you were of age at 21 down there.
We go to Frankie's Tavern, and it was, and so we had Caesars there because there was a bunch of Canadian boys. Wisconsin not being far removed from Canada, it wasn't a far stretch. But I've been south and have found them, but rarely. Yep. And so as you deviate from Western Canada, they are harder to find for sure. Because it's weird because, I mean, if you just break it down, did you just say clam broth and tomato juice? Like that's a little bit out
tomato juice, add clam broth. Because down in Italy, the southern areas of Italy, in the bottom of the boot, shall they say, you're right in the ocean. So clams, tomato sauce, it was regularly used to have seafood with your pasta. So that was a thing down there. Northern Italy, not so much because you're stuck in the mountains and you're in the hills and you're making wine. The thing is, seafood and Italian food actually goes one and one together because there is so much seafood down and around Sicily and the southern part of Italy.
So now goes, because the Caesar being a bit of a, let's call it religion in Alberta or Western Canada. So a lot of places, probably including the place that you're working right now, but I'm just wondering, what are the most interesting things that have been in Caesars that you've seen? Because it's well past Tabasco, Worcester, and lime and a celery stick.
And I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of places, especially in Western Canada, have taken their own ingredients and their own recipes and made their own special Caesars. There's Instagram accounts that are specifically for people tasting Caesars across cities, which is amazing. Garnishes have changed from just a pickle and a lime wedge and a Caesar stock to full on, here is your slider burger, your hot wing, your mozza stick, and whatever they can stick on top of the Caesar. They're giving you a full-on meal with their Caesars. Like, it's so extravagant what people are doing here in Western Canada at these different restaurants just to separate themselves from the rest of the pack, right? Anybody can make a regular Caesar. Worcestershire, Tabasco, salt the rim, Clamato, vodka, you're done.
So let's say you're a traditionalist. You're a
Yeah.
traditionalist, and that's
Yeah.
the way you like it. But Clay, tell me, what is your favorite Caesar add a mod, whatever
Here's
you want to
mine.
call it?
Okay. So
What
I
is your
make a damn
favorite?
good Caesar. Here's my Caesar. And I have been told I make a damn good Caesar by a person, a single person.
All your friends.
All of my friends. That one person told me that one princess actually said, yeah, that's the best Caesar I ever had. Anyway, the Caesar, I can't tell you. I'm not releasing my secret ingredient. Why would I say that? Why would I tell everybody my secret ingredient?
Okay, well, I'll go then.
Okay, you do your first. All right, it's red hot. I use red hot. I don't use Tabasco. I use red hot because you can put that shit on anything. And that is actually it. So you put the red hot in, Worcestershire right in the bottom. You take the salt and you sprinkle it inside the glass, not on the rim. You take a lemon, you squeeze that inside, not a lime, because lemon should be going with Clamato, not a lime, because it's seafood.
Right.
Mix that around. 2 ounces vodka, 4 ounces of Clamato, golden.
Great. So I've got two things that I've really enjoyed in Caesars. So one is something that you would sprinkle in a Caesar, and that would be horseradish.
Okay.
Sprinkle horseradish in a Caesar. It gives it a little bit of extra kick, or a lot of extra kick, depending on your palate.
Yes.
But it's delicious. The thing that you might want to stick onto a Caesar is a cocktail shrimp or even a large prawn.
Yep, I've seen that.
Absolutely delicious. And then if you want to go,
how large is the large prawn? My question to you.
Look at this. Look at my banana hands. My banana hands are going to show you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to get an idea of what this is looking
so
like.
Now that is my motivation to get this video up on YouTube for all of you to see how redonkulous his fingers are into the camera.
They don't call me banana hands for anyway. And then the last piece is, what is my favorite modality of a Caesar? It's a shot. Obviously, you're talking with PJ here. So the shot is 1 shot of Clamato, 1 shot of vodka. Spice it the way you want. Right? You're heavy. You want it dirty. You want lots of Worcester.
Hold on. Are we talking a Caesar shot? Like a shot? Like you and I are going to do a shot together, and this is going to be a Caesar shot.
Yes, but there's a big but in here, because we can do that. Like that's that. I mean, I feel like, but I didn't need to invent that. Although I probably at some point, we've
done a lot of stupid things.
We'll talk about some of the things that Clay and I or Clay have invented, maybe in our own minds, maybe not. But anyway, let me finish.
I'm sorry. Should I stop interrupting?
Shot of vodka, and you spice it however you want. Tabasco, Worcester, a little bit of lime, and then, but you've poured this over a mussel.
Oh,
yeah. And so if you love seafood, you love this idea. If you are all about texture and hate seafood, you are going to literally puke right now. But it is fantastic, and it's one of my favorites.
That is extremely interesting. I like that.
Yeah, you get the mussel right out of the shell, because you order.
Yeah.
Because they won't do it at the restaurant. They never want to do it. Hey, can you do this? And they're always like, "Oh, can you please leave, sir?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm just trying to."
Have we been asked to leave?
Well, through this whole thing, I've been asked to leave a few times. But anyway, just order mussels where you can order great mussels.
Yep.
Order the vodka. Order the clam. Make your own, and it's fantastic.
Make sure you order a third glass to make the concoction inside of, and then pour the mussel right into the glass, and just like that.
As soon as, restaurants love to see their people having great times. As long as they're not throwing mussels at each other, it's great.
We've never thrown anything at each other. Maybe we have. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's
Next.
it for the hospitality, Gene. We're now moving on to the
man.
pinnacle.
I wish I had
of...
had a Caesar though.
You want
I want
Caesar?
a Caesar right now. It's right.
I got a Caesar. It was part of the package that we sent out today. It was pretty spectacular. The code, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're talking sports. We're going to tease a little bit of hockey, go into some other sports, and then we're going to go dive deep right into the NHL playoffs because this happened tonight. We are in 2021 NHL playoffs edition. PJ.
Yeah, baby.
Yell at me about Koskinen, please.
Well, I'd like to say that we share a note, and so we can literally see if someone updates the notes on the podcast, because we're so true to this podcast. We want to make notes. We want to be prepared. We want to talk about it during the week. We want to get better for everyone. So sometimes random notes hit the podcast. Sometimes we are in a state of anger or inebriation,
intoxication,
right? Whatever that looks like. Anyway, the Oilers played Montreal a couple nights ago, and I just really I believe you me, I didn't want to see Calgary make it, but I wanted it to be interesting. So if Edmonton beat Montreal in that game, not in overtime, then Calgary was still alive. Barely, right? They were still going to lose out, but they were barely alive. And it's
exciting to watch. I agree.
Yeah, I was loving it.
Yep.
3-2, Montreal scores, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to go into overtime because there's like 8 minutes left or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, brutal, but whatever. It happens. Goal disallowed. So I'm like, it's 3-2 still. It's great. Wonderful. Animosity's still alive. And then I don't even know who scored, but he came down the wing to the hash marks on the out hash marks, shot it at the net, and in true Koskinen style, he moved out of the way of the puck. Like literally, he's 6'7". He has oversized equipment. His jersey covers the entire net.
That was Nick Suzuki, by the way.
How he misses Suzuki. What a good hockey player. Anyway. He literally has to move a foot to get the puck to go past him into the net from that angle. Like it's ludicrous. So I'm just going to read it word for word. Pardon my language. I was just stunned by how bad Koskinen is, and he's just fundamentally the worst goaltender. But anyway, in our notes, Koskinen is the worst fucking goalie that I have ever seen. He literally has to get his huge, shitty frame out of the way to let some of the goals in. What a fucking piece of shit. Quote unquote. So sorry for the swearing. You know, I don't usually swear on the podcast. That was my quote because I just cannot believe he's in the NHL. And then for Chiarelli / Nicholson / Lowe / McTavish to sign him to the contract is just, it's actually not against Koskinen. It never is against the player for me.
Absolutely not.
But he does have to move his huge, shitty frame out of the way of the puck. Do you see the goal tonight?
Which one?
The fourth.
I didn't see the fourth. No, I saw the second and the third.
It was batted out of him. It hit the top of his pad. It was kind of fluttering. He then tried to grab it with his blocker to his body, but accidentally knocked it in between his own legs. He's huge. There's no in between the leg. Like, it's ridiculous.
If Smith goes down in these playoffs, it's another situation that we saw back in 2006. That's my personal opinion. I think that this team could potentially, definitely has the possibility of beating every single team that is in this playoffs in a 7-game series, because obviously, we've got the two best players in the league. Smith is playing out of his skull for a 39-year-old player. We've got the best defenseman point-wise. What we've got going into this, we can beat any team there. If Smith goes down, we are finished.
Let's talk about that right away. I want to go through our like code notes, and the only reason I want to do this is because we are going to be focused so much on playoffs and Oilers. In the code. So I just want to. I agree. I want to be like, oh, we're not one dimensional. We have other things we want to talk about.
So PJ, speaking of, tell me who this Ohtani, who's Ohtani?
Well, I just think he's such a beast, and I love talking about beasts in lots of sports. And so Ohtani has 11 home runs already, which is a great number.
Oh, so he's a baseball player.
Yeah, he's a baseball player. Plays for the Los Angeles Angels, and he's got a great batting like high 200s is what his kind of career is. He's only been 3 or 4 years. He's Japanese. And so that alone is pretty good, not outstanding, not Hall of Fame numbers or anything like that. The thing though is that he pitches, and he has a 100 plus fastball that he pitches all the time. It's not like he just barely reaches 100. He fires 100 all the time. This year has a 2.10 ERA. And I just like to give shout outs to people that maybe people don't know about, but should check out. Like, this guy's a fireballer pitcher, and he bombs it, like crushes the ball. So it's really cool to see. I think he, I don't know if he does or not, but what I always look at a little bit, or what I always question a little bit in baseball. Well, I question a lot in baseball, actually, but Trout's the name, right?
He's top. I
think he's signed for $1.5 billion for the next 60 years or something like that. Like, I don't know what the contract is, but it's something like that. But this team has never made the playoffs. Like, it's like, I question the amount that they pay, but Ohtani's on this team, and he's a killer. He's awesome. And I really like Trout, just to add into there. But it's interesting how much people baseball pays to their stars for really no team value. Mm-hmm. Right? So anyway,
Ohtani. But if you look at it, Ohtani as well, and a lot of people don't know, Major League Baseball, you've got position players and you've got pitchers. Catchers will switch in and out depending on the pitcher that you use. But to have a pitcher that will DH is unheard of. This is not something that happens on the regular. Having a pitcher that's able to hit home runs and start games and throw over 100, this is unreal. Hopefully he'll be able to see the postseason.
There's a couple of pitchers that are currently playing. Kershaw, great hitter.
Yeah.
Baumgartner, great hitter. In fact, I think Baumgartner and Kershaw both pinch hit in the playoffs.
I was just going to say that, because Baumgartner hit for San Francisco, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pinch hit for San Francisco in the playoffs that year.
Moving on through the code, because I'm a Packer fan, and we're going to get feedback on that, and I'll talk about that later. But Aaron Rodgers obviously is my hero, is the best quarterback in the league by far, in my opinion. But they just signed Bortles. So Bortles, I don't know if they signed him to be the backup. They also drafted someone last year, which isn't a big deal. There seems to be a communication problem between management and Rodgers is not happy.
Quick question for you. Bortles is the quarterback that they drafted just recently. Is that correct?
No. Bortles has been a bit of a utility quarterback. Played with the Jags and started with the Jags. Has a pretty good arm, like a decent quarterback, but certainly not on the radar. Okay, so obviously by your question.
No, but didn't Green Bay just draft a quarterback?
Yes. I don't even know what his name was, but they drafted him high, like first round or whatever it was.
Well, and that's why Rodgers said, basically, I want out, because if you're drafting a quarterback, then why do you want me here? Did he not ask for a trade? Am I reading too much into this?
No, it's a great. So my response always is, Sure, Rogers could be a prima donna and be overreacting, but in other sports other than hockey, they always kind of consult. Management just goes, "Hey, we're going to draft this guy. He's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're just drafting for the future.
It's good.
You're our guy. What do you think?" But it's very obvious to me that they didn't even decide to consult Rogers on that.
No conversation was had, obviously.
No
because
conversation. We drafted him, but no, I don't know that. You just drafted him. So anyway, I can see both sides of the story. I think Aaron Rodgers is being a bit of a prima donna. I think that not consulting your franchise player is a bit of a dumb move in that sport. So we'll go from there. I'm not looking forward to the upcoming year at this point, but here we go.
That's okay.
The last. Oh, you moved that up, so that's perfect.
You're good. Yeah, I wanted to bring it up so you can see it.
See how multi-sport we are. I would like to say though, in my final foray, because the sport that I'm most passionate about all year round, pretty much, ask my poor wife, is golf. And so this week, kind of a nothing tournament, it's kind of a warm up or whatever, but the PGA Championship is coming up, and that is next weekend. And so that's a major. So here we go.
Hey, we get to talk about a major next weekend.
Yeah.
All right. One thing before you move on from golf, Mike Weir, Canadian golfer Mike Weir,
yes,
who has won the Masters, won his first senior event. How
we talked about that last week. I don't know what kind of state you're in, but
I'm always in a state.
It's okay. The reckoning is coming.
Amazing. Ignore me, fellow fans and followers. All right, let's move right into hockey, because that's what we know best. That's what we pretend to know best. And I want to start off with something PJ touched on. Connor McDavid hitting 100 points and the ridiculousness of Connor McDavid's season. And I just want to touch on a couple numbers here really fast. So going up to Connor McDavid's 53rd game, he was 4 points out. He needed 4 points to hit that 100-point mark. And the 11 games leading up to, he had 31 points. He hit the 4-point mark, got the 100 points, crushed it. PJ seems to think that 100 points mean nothing. And I understand that if you're talking about an 82-game schedule. But when you shave 30 games off of that, getting 100 points in 53 games is pretty substantial. In the last 17 games of the season, including today's game, Connor McDavid has had 41 points. 41 points in 17 games. That is more than 3/4 of the NHL. Connor McDavid's assists are more than the third place Art Ross finisher. He has 72 assists as of today. So he's first in Art Ross scoring. Draisaitl is second, and his assists are third in Art Ross scoring. The last person to do that was Wayne Gretzky, as we know. Teams, I want people to think about what we're saying. Oh, that's the wrong slide. Oh, we got to bring this up. I'll talk about this later. Gretzky's role at TNT.
I saw this, I think, just recently.
Yeah. Okay. Connor McDavid's points, 27 or 38 points, 27 assists. Draisaitl, 24 points. Marchand, 24 points. Connor McDavid's 27 assists since April 7th are more than anyone else's point total in that span. He's had 27 assists since April 7th. Nobody else has had more points total since then. The guy is an absolute phenomenon. We know this. We talk about it a lot, and that's because we are fans, and we're not going to apologize for that. But I'm going to keep bringing his name up because we need to really understand. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this player. Enjoy what's going on right now, because what he does on the ice is magic. This is something that we haven't seen since Mario and Gretzky type level point production. What he is doing is something that you need to put into your memories. Remember this so that you can tell your grandchildren that you watched this phenomenon play. And that's why I wanted to bring up those point totals. That's why I wanted to bring up what he's been doing. This trophy now, the third MVP coming to Edmonton in the last 3 years. It was funny. I was listening to Steve Dangle, and he had a great take on it. If you take out Pittsburgh, Montreal, and Edmonton, how many MVPs are actually left in the league? The Pittsburgh Penguins over the last 3 decades. Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins, Edmonton Oilers have dominated the MVP category in that timeline. You trickle in some Tampa Bays, you trickle in some Detroits, you trickle in some other players. And I say trinkle, I mean sprinkle.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I'm waiting for the reckoning. I'm already reckoning myself.
Go on.
But it's fun as he writes this down, ladies and gentlemen. I'm watching him with his pen and paper writing this down. But it's funny because we've been so lucky. He just added it to our notes. We've been so lucky to be watching Connor McDavid in this era. It's something that we haven't seen happen in 30 plus years time. So please enjoy it. Stop being haters.
No, well, but I don't
okay, go
tell people to do that because it's so annoying that Conor is on the Oilers for everybody else. Like, not only is it annoying that we had Gretzky, then now we have Connor McDavid, and we didn't even deserve him.
Not even a little bit.
We were doing such a terrible job of running our team, of being the worst. Like, we were doing such a good job of being the worst, and then to get Connor McDavid, get Leon Draisaitl who can work with Connor McDavid, like it's a nightmare for every other team. Like, I know Jonesy is not dead, but he's rolling over in his grave right now.
He hates this, and every other team outside of Edmonton does as well. But it's so funny. I would
hate it.
Of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't we hate it? But you have to enjoy it. Even being outside of this city, outside of being an Oiler fan, you just got to enjoy the magic that's happening. And you know what? And you and I have said this in the past. I hate the Maple Leafs beyond, and mostly because of sports media, TSN, Sportsnet, and the amount of Toronto propaganda that we get pushed down our throats. So we instantly hate this team, and we're thankful they haven't had a cup since 67. Thank you for that. I don't have to go in the reckoning. So to see Matthews on that team is painful, but I'm not going to stop the fact that watching that guy shoot the puck is ridiculous. Right?
Yeah. I'm curious though, if we didn't have McDavid, would you be so obliging?
Why wouldn't you? The guy's crushing the league. Even if you, let's say
that's not how sports fandom works.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. Have you ever been a fan when your team is out in the playoffs, you start cheering for the Alberta team? And I'm quote unquoting this for you that don't watch the YouTube video. Tell me right now, yes or no?
Yes.
You have?
Yep.
Is that the Iginla factor, or is that because you like the Flames and you want to see Alberta win or Canada win the cup?
Well,
because that's different.
No, I just think that it's contagious. Energy is contagious, and being 3 hours up on the highway,
no,
so easy.
I disagree. This is something that I completely disagree with. You are a fan of a team. You enjoy your team. You have your rivals. Who did I cheer for in 04? Tampa Bay.
No idea.
Tampa Bay. Who did I cheer for in 07? Boston. I don't give a shit about the Vancouver Canucks or the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Calgary Flames. I don't want any other Canadian team to win the cup. I want the Oilers to win the cup.
Yeah, and I would argue that only in the fact that in 2004, I cheered for Calgary because that was cool. It was right down I know tons of people in Calgary. The energy is contagious. Fair. And I can also say in the same breath, when I lived there for 8 years, I could not stand the Calgary Flames.
When you moved there to open up that bar, man, I felt so bad for you. The first time I walked into that bar and I saw you wearing that Flames jersey, I was just like, okay, I need to take a picture of this. This is the worst thing in the world to see. But I get it, right? I understand.
There's a radio personality. His name is Peter Lubardius, I think his name is. And for 8 years, I got to listen to him, and it was my favorite because he sounded in pain every time he talked. Because he was obviously such a huge Calgary Flame fan, and just sound like listening to
Bardius was huge Flames fan.
Yeah, it's like listening to Stauffer. When the Oilers are bad, he hates the refs and he cannot stand anything. Anyway, I digress. My point is that we're causing a lot of pain by talking about Conor, but I will say this real quick. I believe I heard the stat, and it's probably going to hit the reckoning, but over his last 15 games, I believe, he outscored everyone on the New Jersey Devils for their entire year.
Not including the last 2 games, 15 games before, because obviously the 17 games he scored 41 points. But before these last 2 games and this podcast, 15 games, 38 points. He only had 3 points in the last 2 games, which is really unheard of for McDavid. He's usually scoring 3 or 4 points a game.
But the top scorer for the entire season, he outscored them.
I think that there's a percentage of teams out there that he's outscored. I think that it's like 10 of the teams he's outscored.
Anyway, enough. I don't want to piss off half of our listeners.
The only listener that
500,000 people, I believe,
is Jonesy, and we're gonna just take shots at Jonesy the whole time. Jonesy wants us to take shots at each other. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna spend one full episode taking shots at Jonesy because he can't retaliate. It's gonna be amazing.
Until we have him on the show.
Yeah, and we will definitely be having him on the show when Montreal beats Toronto, and it's Montreal and Edmonton in that. In that North final, that would be epic, actually. Okay, here we go. Buffalo. I want to talk about Buffalo really quick. Buffalo's been a terrible franchise for the longest time. They've tried to make trades. Excuse me. They've tried to make signings. They've tried to do the best for their franchise, but everything they've done has been an epic fail. They signed Taylor Hall. It could be the water, or it could be the fact that they're so close to Toronto.
Were you in Edmonton when Nicholson had said it's something in the water?
It's something in the water. Yeah, I wasn't, but I always listened to the radio, so I heard it. Or we were 3rd-tier fans. Wasn't that another one? And I'm like, oh, you did not just say that. Anyway, so the Buffalo Sabres are on the verge of losing Jack Eichel, who is an elite player in the NHL. Taylor Hall had 2 goals. He tried out there, didn't do so well, but now with Boston, he's doing very, very well. Ristolainen has also said that he wouldn't be opposed to a trade. And Sam Reinhart is the latest Buffalo Sabre to make a move to say that he may not be back next year either. He has just removed the Buffalo Sabres from his Instagram name, as well as he's unfollowed the team. Whether he did this himself or whether it was a girlfriend or whether it was a prank, who knows? But whenever that happens in professional sports, it's usually followed by the player actually exiting the team. So you're losing 3 extremely top players. We know Rasmus Dahlin is still there. We don't know what's happening with him. With Seattle coming into play and the new expansion draft happening here right away, I think that there is going to be some serious action in the offseason. So just wanted to keep in mind, watch the Buffalo Sabres because they don't have a coach. They don't have a lot of players and people want out. So they may be in the middle of another rebuild.
So another way to think about that is there's a cap, but then there's a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell are they going to get to the minimum?
Oh, Jesus. Well, you know what? You trade players like Koskinen. There's your $4-5 million goaltender.
We'll take him.
You're good. We don't even want anything back. You got a bag of pucks?
We'll take Neil and Lucic.
Neil, Lucic, all of them. We don't have to worry about Lucic anymore. Oh, by the way, the Calgary, quick Flames note, Lucic actually waived his no trade so that he is eligible for the expansion draft to Seattle. He's a Vancouver boy, right beside Vancouver.
Man, so, he was not Calgary's worst problem, though.
No, he was great.
Yeah.
He was one of the better players in Calgary this year. He was not great with Edmonton. However, with Calgary, he was one of their better players down the stretch, for sure. Okay. Yeah, we're not talking about that because I'm tired of yelling at people. That night that we were supposed to record, Vegas fighting for their lives. Okay. They're only allowed to dress 15 players. So for all of you that don't know, listening to the podcast still, the President's Trophy came down to the last few games of the season, and it was all in one division. It was the Colorado Avalanche, and it was Las Vegas Knights. And the Knights had the lead on the Avalanche. The Knights had to play the Avalanche with 15 skaters because their cap issues were so complex. They used up all of their call-ups. The amount of players that they had on the reserve had already filled the amount of cap, their salary cap. So they couldn't pull anybody up. They had to deal with the players that they had on ice. So they had to run trying to fight for the President's Trophy with 15 skaters. That's defensemen and forwards. Usually on a regular ice frame, you're talking 21 forwards. So 6 players that they were without. Talk about a tired squad during that. Coupling on top of that, Colorado, last game of their season, had an opportunity to win the President's Trophy facing LA. If they win the President's Trophy and they win their division. If they lose or go to overtime, then Vegas wins. Vegas is idle. And Colorado goes ahead and destroys Los Angeles 5-1, and Clay wins $50 on a $10 bet. Because I made that at the beginning of the season. Hi, virtual high five for this guy.
Nice one. Was that the only President's Trophy bet you made?
Yes, it was.
Really?
I made 2 bets for teams to do something. I made the Oilers in the North, and I made Avalanche in the President's Trophy.
What was the Oilers in the North?
What was it?
What were the odds?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's that's interesting. My buddy and I always talk about, we're like, yeah, maybe, but I would hate to lock up that money.
But it's $5. I don't do anything more than $5, right?
So you just said you do bet $10.
You're right. It was $10 because
I
was just that.
There we go. The reckoning is coming, my friend.
I'm not doing next week's episode because I'll be reckoned right into the dirt. I'm going to let PJ take care of everything. All right, PJ, anything to add there before I move on with the playoff race seedings?
No, the salary cap thing is so complex, right? Like it's lawyer talk.
Oh,
and
big time.
And it's crazy. And I would love to be an agent, but all agents are lawyers. And so it's crazy.
And you say about playoff talk and cap talk, but we had 2 players on the Tampa Bay Lightning that were injured all season long, but all of a sudden are now healthy and ready to come back for game 1 of the playoffs. Stamkos and Kucherov are all of a sudden the most healthy players on the team, and they're ready to come back. However, they didn't count against the cap all season long because they were injured. So it's just interesting how timing works when it comes to salary cap. But you know what? They've got capologists. They've got people working behind the scenes. And if they can manipulate anything, they will. All 31 teams. That is not just one team. All 31 teams try and mess with the cap.
This just coming in, President's Trophy winners win $350,000.
Oh, wow. That was a big, big game then. Each.
No.
Total?
I think the team just wins. Hold on. The President's Trophy is an award, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The winning team is also awarded $350,000 in cash bonuses. I'm not even sure what that means.
Well, if you think about it, 21 players on average, it's not a bad little, hey, thanks, let's go for dinner, and then blow it all on dinner. We know that happens. So the Stanley Cup playoffs are actually happening right now. First game was tonight. We saw the Washington Capitals, Boston Bruins in their first game. It was a hard-hitting game, very tight checking. First game to go to overtime, as it should be. We're going to see more overtime games going into the playoffs because that's what happens. Washington wins in overtime. Do we talk about our parlay right now, or do we talk about that after?
We talk about that after. We talk about all our wonderful betting choices after.
Fair enough.
I would like to say, though, I want to bring this up right now.
Yeah.
Man, is the whining going to be amped up by the Edmonton Oilers fandom, eh?
Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about it, but
Washington and Boston, that was a great playoff game and went to overtime, and it was chippy, and it was big hits.
Not a lot of reffing.
Not a lot of reffing, and the Edmonton Oilers fandom
is going to happen.
Oh, but Conor's special.
But guess what? It's not about Conor special. It's about, if you're a hockey fan, you understand there's two seasons: the regular season reffing and the playoff reffing. And we know that. We've talked about that going into this. We've accepted it. But if you're going to bitch about it, guess what?
Yeah, you're yelling. You're nothing for you. Sky. You're yelling at the sky. I think what my point is, though, and what I heard, my talking point on this is, and it was interesting because it was, I forget which talking head it was, and I apologize, but it was a good point. And the point is that Cahoon has thrown 13 hits in 47 games. And there's a bunch of ever since McLeod has joined us, he's throwing like 2 hits in 8 games.
Cahoon or McLeod?
Well, Cahoon's like 13 hits in like 47 games.
Right.
McLeod's like 2 hits in 8 games.
Right.
There's a bunch of the bottom 6 forwards that haven't hit worth diddly during the season. And the concern is that's the type of hockey that needs to be, you need to finish your checks. Okay. You need to be physical. You can't have undersized forwards that are not finishing. You can have undersized forwards, but they have to be physical. Yeah. And so how close is Cassian?
Okay, so let's just make this about Edmonton right now. We're going to go through the whole playoff bracket. We'll do that after. But since we're already into this, then let's just get right into it. Watching the game today and watching the last few games in the last week here, bottom 6 players in teams that we've played in the last week or so have dominated us. We do not have that bottom 6. Our bottom 6 holds off teams. Our bottom 6 doesn't score goals, right? Our bottom 6 is there to make sure that they hold down the fort until Conor and Draisaitl get back on the ice. Is McLeod a hitter? Is he a bottom 6 player, or is he being prepped to be higher? He's held his own, right? The way he's skilled with the puck, he's fast, he gets involved. I'm very impressed with the way that McLeod has actually been on the ice. Our bottom 6 doesn't score like other bottom 6 in the league. that's going to be our demise, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I like because I was listening to the radio today, and I liked what Matt Cassian said. And he said, "Well, I mean, you can not like what the bottom 9 are doing. If you have Conor and Draisaitl, if they don't go down, you're fine."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like that's what's been proven throughout. Is hey, listen, yeah, but you got Conor and Leon. Like, who cares, right? And you got Barry and Nurse to a certain level. All I'm saying is, man, watching the first game of the playoffs tonight, Washington Capitals versus Boston Bruins,
being reminded what playoff hockey is.
It's interesting to know how Edmonton will stack up to that. I'm not saying they're going to fail. I'm not saying that they're going to, but they don't have some of the ingredients that it takes to get through some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and when Cassian comes back, because we saw it last year with the play-in round against Chicago, the Cassian we needed, the San Jose run over players 2017 Cassian wasn't there against Chicago last year. That was a shell of a player that we used to know which Cassian is going to show up when he's finally ready to step back on the ice.
Having said all of that, I would say that the separation of the year lends me to really believe in the leadership. McDavid is a better and different leader than he was a year ago. Leon is too. Like these guys have taken it on their shoulders, and so
Nurse as well.
We'll see because they're inexperienced. They've only had one playoff, and now they're going to their second playoff. I mean, hey, you want to talk about Matthews and Marner and all of that kind of stuff? That's interesting, and I get it, but they've been ousted
They haven't won a series yet. Edmonton has at least won a series since 2017. When's the last time Toronto did?
I mean, they were playing Boston. I mean,
it's not the point.
Oh,
they haven't won a series.
I think it is.
When you look at notes, series 0. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure. I get it. But I don't believe that. Boston has been a good team. They have old man strength. They're good.
You know what? Old man strength can only get you so far. I think going through this series, what's going to happen with the Oilers moving forward, Winnipeg will be difficult. I don't care what anybody else says. This isn't going to be a walk. Winnipeg has
the hell out of me.
Deep team. If Hellebuck becomes Hellebuck from the Vezina winning last year, we are going to be in big trouble, right? However, if McDavid, like we've seen Scheifele try and go one-on-one with David. It depends on who they put against him. And I hear that they're going to try and put Dubois against him and try and make Dubois shadow him. If they do that, does he dummy Dubois? Is he talented enough to shadow McDavid? Like Dubois is supposed to be an offensive player. Can you automatically switch your brain power to start saying, okay, now I have to shadow a player. Now I have to go full defensive. Now I have to figure this out. Is that possible? Can Dubois turn into that guy?
Well, sure. I mean, like Dubois has the brain to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that he has the coach to implement that system to do it. Maurice is an incredible coach.
Agreed.
I just don't know if anyone can shadow Conor.
Montreal did it for 2 games. Do you remember that?
Sure, but not really. It wasn't that playoff shadow, right?
No, you're right. You're right.
Gretzky had a playoff shadow, and it was tough to watch at times.
Yeah.
Right. It was just like literally hang
but
on.
Different like era. It was a whole lot of clutching and grabbing too.
Hang on like a seatbelt and go, right. And so I'm not saying that can't happen. I mean, if you watch the game tonight, there was lots of clutching and grabbing. I'm just saying Dubois could do a good job. Like he knows the mind of an offensive player, so he knows where to be. And he's big.
He is big. Yeah.
but he did look like he was hurt at the end of the game, and of their Leafs Jets game.
Okay, I didn't see that. Well, it'll be interesting because that game starts on Wednesday. So let's go back to the actual playoff bracket itself.
Let's do it.
I'm extremely intrigued about the matchups that are actually happening in this playoff bracket right now. There's a lot of history with a lot of teams, and there's no history with some teams. Case in point, we're going to jump in. Let's finish the East here. So we've got Washington and Boston. They had their first game tonight. Washington goes up 1-0 in that series in an overtime win. Now we have Pittsburgh, New York Islanders. Pittsburgh won their division. The Islanders came in fourth. I think that's going to be a strong, strong battle. I think the Islanders have a lot to give in that series itself. I think there's a lot of battlers there, but I think that Pittsburgh is too strong for that team. I think they take that series for sure.
Yeah, I don't know about for sure. Like the Islanders continue to grow, right? They continue to improve. They're kind of like Toronto, where they've lost some series where people thought they were going to win. I just think that they're a good team. You know me, I'm a huge Crosby fan.
Yep.
I hope and I pray and I want Pittsburgh to win that series. The only kind of talking point I'd like to just kind of mention is I just love talking about the failures of the Oilers' old regime.
Yeah, keep going.
And so, that just naturally goes to everyone. Like he's such a big part of the Islanders. He's a great goals. Like he's just a really good player, and I really like watching that. And I don't like saying that. But
he's one of my favorite players for sure. I liked watching him too.
Right. So it's nice to see Abs have a bit of success. Barzell is an all-star. We'll see. That's going to be Islanders have some playoff experience. It's not as if they're going in as new kids.
No, however, the Islanders have struggled and they had to battle to get that final spot. They're 3-4-3 in their last 10 right now. The Rangers, I know they were 11 points back because the Rangers actually fell hard in their last 10 games themselves. But the Islanders are struggling. They didn't come in gangbusters. So the Islanders need to get their shit together if they want to be the team to beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go now. Yeah, well, for other reasons. Okay, so let's go to the Central. The Carolina Hurricanes, who damn near got the President's Trophy, against the Nashville Predators, who are the Nashville Predators of old, minus the legit defense they used to have. The Predators, however, finished off with a 7-2-1 in the last 10 games. Carolina.
Name 5 Nashville Predators. Go.
Weber. I got Forsberg. Carrie, what's her face's husband? Is he retired?
Fisher.
I
don't even know.
Yeah, I got nobody else.
I asked that question because I probably couldn't do it.
Yeah. Like
they got Subban. They've got Sarah.
Subban's not there. Subban's not there.
Where's Subban now?
With Jersey.
What a
right?
Suitcase.
Good for you. Reckoning.
No one's going to call me out on that. Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that nobody actually gives a shit where Subban is because he'll retire and just go be a social media mogul is what he's going to do. Anyway, Carolina against Nashville. That's going to be tough sledding for Nashville. Nashville, they have a grinder team. Their differential for goal is only +2, whereas Carolina's +43. Carolina's just a dominant team. Rod Brindamore has been just the captain amongst captains for the team as he's coaching it, right?
Rod the bod, baby.
He's that guy. So Carolina will win that one going away.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think so too.
I think the one that I wanted to look at though is Florida, Tampa Bay.
Woo!
Florida and Tampa Bay have never met in the Stanley Cup playoffs ever. Florida's been in, I think it's been 23 years. 23 years. Two Florida teams have never met in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And this is going to be great because we know Tampa Bay has a great following and great fan base. Florida has developed it. Back when they went to the finals during the whole let's throw rats on the ice situation, which was super fun and all, they barely could fit people in there because they gave them beer to come. It's a fight, right? You got Sunrise, Florida, fighting people to go in there. It's not a place where people can actually drive to. Well, they drive to it, but it's a long place to go from where the city is, right? Whereas Tampa Bay, they flood. They've got a great fan base and they've won a few cups. They've got a tradition now. This is going to be a great series.
So Tampa's an interesting place. I don't know if the Tampa Bay Lightning play directly out of it, but a lot of them play out of these little suburbs of Tampa, like St. Petersburg is a large suburb of Tampa. Anyway, this is going to be a crazy series.
It's going to be a great series.
It's going to be awesome. We'll see how I have full confidence in Kucherov. I think Stamkos has been a bit of a disappointment his entire career.
Entire career?
Oh yeah, I mean he's scored some goals, but yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. Like he's been injured.
Is he on this pedestal that everybody talks about him? I guess that's where you're going, right?
Right. I just think that when you talk about the pedestal, one of the main contributors of that is consistency, actually playing games. Like he's missed seasons.
Yeah. 2 seasons, and he missed all the playoffs last year.
Right, and now he's coming back in again. Like I'm a fan of Stamkos. I just don't like. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Okay, but you put that shot, that one timer, on your power play after being gone. You're adding another weapon. What I'm saying is he's elite. He's good.
In their cup run and cup win, he was a 4th liner and he played 7 minutes
last year.
Minutes. Yeah.
Wasn't he injured the whole time last year?
No, I think he came in for like 2 games or a game and a half.
That's right. So he was injured the whole time he came in.
It's just this weird thing. Anyway, I like Stamkos. I just don't know if he's. I mean, Kucherov's the difference maker in that whole thing, right?
Yeah. And now Kucherov's been injured the whole season too, but he's been dynamic for the last 3 seasons in a row. Like Hart Trophy winning dynamic. He's been that guy, right?
Absolutely.
But
they've got a really good defense, like Vasilevsky, Hedman, Kucherov. Are we done there? That's solid.
It is solid. And they're saying when
I didn't even mean to say Kucherov. I meant to say Braden Point.
Oh, Point's injured.
Yeah.
Got that tweet today. So he may not be there for the first couple games, which is very interesting. I want to look at the Florida Panthers right now. Obviously, Bennett, huge ad. The other one is Leclerc. Leclerc, the kid that they picked up free agency, was with Ottawa. Anthony Duclair, right? So nobody wanted him. He didn't have an agent. He did this all on his own. It's not that nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted to negotiate with him, right? Because he did not have an agent.
So, I mean, we can get into that and we won't, obviously, because, well, maybe we will, but he's another Torts failure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He was a failure. He was a failure before that, as far as coaching and managing him. He's always been
where he was drafted. Yeah,
he's been a really good hockey player. Like I like his speed. I like his mind.
100%.
But there's been some problems. Ottawa didn't want him. Torts didn't want him.
But he comes into this group, right? Like this is like Las Vegas. This seems like a scrambled group of people they put together. They bring in Bennett, Huberdeau is already there. Hornquist is already there.
Oh,
right?
man.
Like you've got
Huberdeau.
some firepower. Duclair, we talked about. Sam Bennett, who's just been ripping it up the last couple of weeks since he got traded. Alexander Barkov, I know he's hurt right now. Is he not hurt right now?
I don't know.
If he comes back,
But
then
he's the most I've said this last podcast.
yeah,
He's the most underrated center out there.
absolutely. So like that's your 7-game series.
I wish they wouldn't have got rid of Trochev. Anyway,
Excellent. Goaltenders. Sergei Bobrovsky. He is still in the league, yes. He's playing for Florida, making $19 million a year. That's actually a lie. I'm just making that
10.
up.
He's making 10.
$10 million a year. But they have this rookie born in 95, and he will be taking the reins of the games. Dreger, I believe his name is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. That is going to be an excellent series. And what I love about that series is if anyone has watched the last 3 to 4 games with those teams,
It was insane.
there is so much animosity between those two teams, and they're both big enough to handle that.
Do you know what it reminded me of? 2 college towns in a state fighting for the state championship. That's what it reminded me of. They're like, this is my state champion. I'm taking this. You're not the champ. And like they're 2 state towns, right? It's just, here we go. And those last 2 games, so they played 2 games to finish off the regular season. And now they're playing a 7-game series. They could potentially be playing 9 games in a row. That's going to get ugly real fast.
I'm going to get injured.
Yeah, I'm already injured. Okay, let's go to the West here. Obviously, we have the Colorado Avalanche as the President Trophy winners. St. Louis Blues is the 4th entry, and we've already talked about the Blues before having old man power. But we took Colorado with our picks. How long do you think this one goes?
I don't know. Probably 5 or 6. I just think 4 or 5. I just when you talk about old man strength, St. Louis for sure has it. They have it through their coach. They have it through some of their players. It's weird because he was kind of not impactful, but Backus is gone now from St. Louis. And I don't know. Well, let me put it this way. Colorado now has playoff experience.
Yep.
Right? Those guys now have a bit of that old man strength. They've been in 2 or 3 years in a row now. They've had some hard losses. I think that Colorado
is where we want to be.
Sure, for sure.
Right? It's one of those situations where with the Oilers, we're going to fight through diversity. We're going to get another couple rounds in, and then we're going to lose out. But that experience being built up, right, is where Colorado is now. Colorado is built to win. They've got a strong team. Makar came out of nowhere and has become an elite.
I don't know. He's
defenseman.
A Calgary boy, I believe.
Makar? Yeah, he went to NCAA, came out of NCAA, entered the playoffs, became an amazing player.
Like, obviously, being in Canada, we watched North a lot. Have you watched Makar?
Not this year. I haven't watched a whole lot
insane. Like he is
highlights. Yes, no games.
And this is no insult to Quinn in Vancouver.
Yeah.
What is his full name?
Quentin Hughes.
Yeah, Hughesy. Yes.
Yes.
So, and he's awesome. He's going to be awesome for his
They're
entire
both
career.
Great.
Makar is like double the player he is.
Thick. He's a big kid.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, no, he'll be winning Norris's come very quick here for sure. And then Vegas, Minnesota, and my surprise team, Minnesota. I did not expect Minnesota to be this good this year.
Who's their goaltender right now?
Talbot.
I love that.
That the fact that we don't
ex-Oiler?
know,
Another
or that
ex-Oiler?
ex-Oiler. It's one or the other, eh?
And you know what's funny about the ex-Oilers is that they had to be like removed
And then become
purposely.
better, and then go to Minnesota and become better, because the same happened with Dubnik. He did the same thing.
Oh yeah, I made a bet with one of my buddies, and I said Dubnik will never win a cup, and there was some stipulations of that, but I gave 20-1 odds, and
He's
then
playing for Colorado right now.
I know, and well, but he has to play like 12 out of 16 or something like that. He has to play 12 games minimum or something like that
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not happening.
So, but anyway, my point is that he was awful with the Oilers. Literally looked like he did never play goalie before.
It was terrible.
And then he went to Minnesota and went on that run and got a good goalie coach and looked unreal.
Okay, so I want to look at Minnesota's team here. Yeah, Benino, I know him.
Ex-Anaheim guy.
I know him. Marcus Johansson. Kaprizov, isn't that their rookie? That is their rookie. That's the one that could be winning Rookie of the Year. Zach Parise, obviously. Victor Rask, Matt Zuccarello, Jonas Brodin, Ian Cole, Matt Dumba.
They've got some really good defense, right?
Jared Spurgeon, Ryan Suter. Yeah. So, like, their defense is solid, as Minnesota's always been. And then Andrew Hammond and Cam Talbot. So there's your defenseman right there. So it'll be a rough run, because Vegas is a very strong team, and they don't have to worry about cap issues because the playoffs have started. So they can just put everybody back on the roster. Don't worry about it. You're all good now. It's all good.
You get a gold helmet. You get a gold helmet. You get a
Their gold helmets are terrible. Absolutely terrible. I hate them.
I disagree. I love
you're an idiot. Put it on the reckoning.
I love the show.
All right. Let's move to the north. Let's get this done here. History between teams, between playoffs, going way back. Starting off in the North Division, Toronto, Montreal, meeting in the playoffs for the first time in a very, very long time. Obviously, original 6 teams. The history between Toronto and Montreal goes back 100 years. This is going to be a great series, because we know Montreal is tough. They're strong. They hit. They will devour you. They don't have the firepower that Toronto has. However, they do have some snipers on their team that can do justice. And they have a little certain guy called Carey Price, who can steal any game, anytime when he's ready.
Is he starting?
Is he injured?
Well, he's been injured for a while.
Okay.
But anyway, when
Jake Allen coming in.
What's that?
Jake Allen coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Allen's his job.
Just fine. He's no Carey Price, but he has been Carey Price for the majority of the year. Actually, Carey Price had a very tough year. Yeah. I know that anyone that's a Montreal fan or a Montreal observer will say, well, we want Carey Price. And that's fair. Like, there's no argument to that. It's just interesting. So they have had Gallagher, Weber, and Price injured down the stretch.
Yeah.
And so I feel that's insurmountable for that team.
Gallagher is huge in the playoffs. He's a grinder. He hits hard. He goes to the dirty areas.
And he's skilled.
Obviously, and he's skilled. And Weber is obviously your defensive guru. The guy is your captain. He's hard as nails, shoots the puck a ton, right?
I just don't see Montreal coming out of this because of what Toronto's done. Well, with Nick Foligno, they've got Muzzin, they've got like these just really Toronto's a good team, man.
No, and going into Toronto, like, we start talking about who Toronto
Spezza,
is right
Thornton on the 4th line. Like,
what blows my mind is Spezza. They waived Spezza, and Spezza came out publicly and said, if anybody takes me, I'm retiring. And then nobody takes him. He comes back into the lineup and scores 4 goals in 4 games. Like, he is fourth line good. And defensively, he was a captain with the Ottawa Senators. The guy is a skilled player.
The only issue with Toronto is that they're Toronto. So, and that's the same with the Oilers, right? They have the same issue. You have the two best players on the Oilers. You have tons of talent on Toronto, and they just have to get over that hump.
Having that together, and I guess this is
40-year hump.
Was it 1967? Did you say
67?
God, I want that to be forever.
Idiots.
I want that to just be forever. I want that song by the Tragically Hip to be
relevant
forever. Forever. Okay. Toronto, just going through their roster really quick here. Obviously, we know Marner's and Matthew being on a line, being amazing. Marner was third in scoring. Matthews had 42 goals.
Matthews.
Sorry, Matthews had 42 goals, 41 goals. So 67 points, 66 points. And then Tavares, obviously 50 points. Nylander had a hell of a year. Morgan Riley is a great defenseman. Zach Hyman, who is a UFA at the end of the year, by the way. Keep your eyes open on that one. Spezza had 30 points. Jake Muzzin. Thornton's last kick of the can, right? The guy's got to be done after this year if they don't win.
Yeah,
Marlowe's coming back for some reason, so who knows?
Well, but Thornton's an absolute legend, right?
Yeah. And a workhorse. That guy, he puts in the time. He could fight for.
Yeah, well, I think what my point is with Thornton is not only his like aura of being a legend, but he was known as and still is one of the best passers in the league.
Find anybody anywhere at any time.
Create any angle he needs to get the puck to someone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And when you have that guy on the ice on the fourth line going against other fourth liners, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, if Edmonton gets there, and who knows if that happens, but our third and fourth line.
Go into the series.
All right. So let's do that. Winnipeg and Edmonton Oilers. This is the final series we're going to talk about, and the history between these two teams is far deeper than a lot of the teams that are playing tonight. The Oilers have won 5 Stanley Cups. The Oilers, every single time they won a Stanley Cup, they had to go through Winnipeg. History comes back and shines its beautiful light in our face and says, guess what? You're facing Winnipeg first round this year. What say you?
Well, yeah, I mean, all of that history is nothing, right?
But it's fun to talk about.
No, but you just asked me what I say. Don't ask me what I say, and then no, just kidding.
Stop yelling at me.
So, but I would say that this is a brand new series, and even though Edmonton was 7-2 against Winnipeg, I would say that I'm really worried about this series.
Are you really worried or kind of worried?
Really worried.
Because I'm kind of worried. I'm not really worried.
Hellebuck is a Vezina goaltender, quality goaltender. Scheifele, Wheeler, Conor are top notch. However, when you say you're kind of worried, I get it. Not because of the previous record, but because their defense, I mean,
their defense is suspect at best.
It's just been through such turmoil. They've got really unlucky, right? With the Bufflin thing, like
the Bufflin thing really hurt.
What a piece of shit. Anyway, I'll say that, but I'll also say that, hey, listening, I'm not a particular fan of Myers, but he's a pretty good defenseman.
Myers did very well with Vancouver, and he was a thorn in our side when we played.
I don't know if he did really well with
Vancouver. Well, he was a shithead for us.
Well, he played lots of minutes.
Yeah.
And he's huge. I don't particularly think that he's a great defenseman, but Anyway, the point is he's effective at times, and Winnipeg doesn't have him.
So he would be a good defenseman for
So you
Winnipeg.
have Pionk and Morrissey anchoring that,
Yeah.
but I thought Forber was a joke with LA. I think his foot speed's a joke with Winnipeg. He's a tough, mean guy. Playoffs might work for him because he can like literally tackle people, but he's like for me, he's a non-foot speed giant of a goof. So it'll be interesting. I just don't think Winnipeg's defense can hold up, and that puts Hellebuck in lots of precarious positions. And so he can't play great goaltending. He has to play lights out.
There's two things that I see about Hellebuck, and something that I was listening to on Gregor's show. They were talking to a goaltender specialist, and they said Hellebuck.
Woodley?
Yeah, it was Woodley. Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
One-on-one, face-to-face, Hellebuck is lights out. But if you have to make him move from side to side, which is literally what McDavid and Draisaitl do all the time, then there's issues. He has a problem moving from corner to corner. So if you got the cross passes, if you can get him moving from side to side, if you get the players moving, then you're going to have those openings nonstop. The issue is we need our third and fourth line to be those shutdown players. Don't think that you're offensive players. Just shut them down. You don't have to do anything else other than shut down the other team's lines. Then you can give your 25 minutes to McDavid's line, give your 25 minutes to Draisaitl's line. Or if they're playing together, then it's Nugent Hopkins' line, right?
Is Yama coming back? What's going on with Yama?
I believe that they just gave him a day to think about things. They put him in the corner and said, go sit here for a day and just do your thing. Also, McLeod was under the weather too, right? So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not worried about what happened in the last game of the season. But Yama didn't play the last two games, I believe, right?
Healthy scratch 2 games ago. I didn't hear anything today. I was at work.
So it's nothing more serious.
Not that I know of, not that I've seen though. And I haven't done a whole lot of research tonight. And obviously that's something we can delve deep into. That's Wednesday start. So yeah.
But we're picking Edmonton, right?
We're always picking Edmonton. That's just what we do, brother. Okay. So let's then recap here. Now, talking about the playoff seedings, we've gone through the playoff breakdown through every single team, everything this series, but we want to talk about what we do every single week. We make our picks. PJ, what did we do today with our picks? Oh, wait, what's our rundown? What's our number? Do you have that handy, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to me.
So last week was a really good week.
It was a good week.
So we went 4-0 with our picks individually. So that means we won our parlay, but it also means we went to 18-10 on individual picks.
Big.
So if you would have bet $100 on each of our picks last week, you would have won $407. And if you would have bet $100 on all of our picks individually over the last 8 episodes, you'd be up 3 units.
Ooh.
Hello, $306.
That's good.
Parlays were 2-7, which sounds terrible, but parlays are tough. That means we're up $26 on $5 bets on our parlays. So that's another positive piece.
I like it.
And so why don't you go over what we have chosen over this next week here or so, because we made a parlay.
Okay, so we did do a parlay last night via text because we weren't able to record. So we just, PJ and I texted back and forth. We figured out what our parlay was going to be. And we took 2 games today, and then we took 2 games tomorrow. The 2 games we took was obviously the Oilers, because we do that every single time. It's almost a staple. And we lost today. So the parlay got kibosh right off the bat, so we won't talk about the rest. But then we doubled down and we said, are we going to chase our parlay? And of course we said, yes, we are. So
pretty much in the textbook to chase your parlay.
Yeah, we always chase the parlay. You lose the first game, you chase the parlay. So the second parlay is Washington Capitals over the Bruins, which we won tonight. And then Pittsburgh over the Islanders tomorrow, and the Golden Knights over the Wild tomorrow as well. So $5 bet will win us $30. Not too bad if we win that parlay. So we'll see you tomorrow. Very simple. And we've also got our bets in for the series, just so I can let you know what that is.
So series bets are, just explain it real quick.
Yeah, series bets. So the bets are, we're going to bet every single series that happens. There's 8 series going on in the NHL playoffs, 4 in each, or 2 in each division. Where I'm just going to bring this up. Good. So we've got Vegas over Minnesota, Colorado over the Avalanche, Carolina over Nashville, and we're taking Tampa Bay over Florida, Penguins over the Islanders, Washington over Boston, Maple Leafs over the Canadiens, and Edmonton over the Jets.
And do we bet actual money on that?
$5 on each one.
Oh boy. Okay.
But
good.
Yeah, so that was a $40 exchange. However, the odds aren't good on some of them. Like,
no.
Yeah, if we get right down to it, where's a good one here? Oh, okay. So the Maple Leafs, so they beat the Canadiens. We bet $5. We have a possibility of winning $1.45.
Oh, so you went risk on those bets.
Straight up.
Yeah, we're risking 5, but if we win, okay,
we get $1.
So I'll explain to everyone about that at a later date, about the weird betting world.
There's a US betting mode, and there's
well, risking versus winning.
Yeah, so we're risking $5 to win $1.45. Okay. Because the odds are redonkulous for Toronto to beat Montreal, and that was just that comparison.
You're a little scaredy, fraidy cat, so it's fine. It's good. Yeah. No, I like it. It's good.
But I'll also bet $5 the other way just to see if I'll win 15. All right. Good stuff.
Playoff time.
That's it. That's all. What else are we going to talk about, my friend?
That's it. That's all.
I think we've hit on all points. We've kept your attention way too long. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate your time. Keep sending us messages. We love your feedback. What you guys have been doing have been so meaningful for us. It just helps us grow. It just gives us fuel to keep doing this. And we love what we're talking about. PJ and I have such a camaraderie that him and I will never stop. So thank you again. PJ, last words, my friend.
Well, I kind of disagree with Clay. I don't want to hear any negative comments from all of the peanut gallery out there, and just calm yourself down every time you talk. No, just kidding. Absolutely agree with your sentiments, Clay. We love doing this. Anyone that's talked to me, text me, knows that we just plan to get better, and we want to get better. So continue to show us some feedback and some love, and whatever form that is, my friends.
100%. Thank you very much. PJ, you have yourself 100% of an amazing night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you next Thursday, because we will be back next Thursday. Correct, PJ?
On time, baby.
Love it. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Good night.
Boom. What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I've got my other podcast. I've got to record that and put that out. Then I'm going to, what time is it now? 11. I will put this together tonight and hopefully have it up and ready to go. Then I'm going to have to spend some time with the girls if I can. And then back, I got Monday off too.
Oh.
2 days off in a row. Blows my mind. I don't know what the fuck to do.
You got stuff to do.
I always have stuff to do. I always have a list. Now I go wipe down the whiteboard and start all over again.
There we go.
It's a good hat though. Hat looks good on you. I like it.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's the light shines on the diamond and it pops. It looks very, very cool. I'm excited for that. And we'll definitely, once we get the website going, we'll start putting that up for sale as well. If we can get
Let's talk to Mama too.
I was just gonna say Mama Claire, because if she produces some kind of a logo for us,
you would just like, I just loved how she brought it up. She's like, hey, I don't want to insult anyone. I just like, I have some ideas, and that's
great.
This is what she does.
And I told her, and I texted her too. I'm like, okay, this emblem stays. I need the diamond. Anything else you do, I don't give a shit. Just keep the diamond somewhere. If you have to put it in the palm of your hand, like in a little corner up there, I'll do it. Just keep my diamond.
Well, it'd be good.
Yeah. I like it. And I like the colors too. Johnny Hayes, we need to get him back involved. I need to get him in here, do his segment. So we need to figure that out. His hat's in my car. I'll get that to him too. And we'll go from there.
Good man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Great stuff.
Here. Cheers.
Loved it. Cheers.
Shots next time.
Bye bye.
No.